Well, hello good people, and welcome back to the channel. It's Friday night and you already know what time it is. It's time for another review of Ready to Love. This time, I'll be covering my thoughts and feelings on episode 6 of the DC season. Now on last week's episode, Nephew Tommy introduced 2 new singles to the show, and they made quite the impression on the cast members. The show also had to say goodbye to Corey and Tyrone. Now if you checked out my review from last week, then you would know that I predicted that Camille and or Tasia would be facing elimination tonight. Did either or both of them go home tonight? Stay tuned to find out. The episode starts off with Nephew Tommy meeting with all the guys, and the guys seem pretty happy to have the power to eliminate this week. During the meeting, Nephew Tommy challenges all the guys to take out a woman that deserves a second shot, and to my surprise, Nephew Tommy informs them that they will only be sending one woman home this week. So the first date is with Walter and Zadia. They meet up to get a pedicure while sipping some wine. They discuss the things that are important to them, and they mention the concepts of family and tradition. I can see the natural chemistry between the two of them, and Zadia is definitely flirting heavily with Walter. I'm not sure if they will truly make a good match, but if for some reason Sabrina doesn't work out, I can see Walter giving Zadia another chance. We then go to Sabrina and Sean meeting up at an Asian restaurant. They acknowledge their physical attraction to one another, and they seem like they're having a lot of fun on the date. But that fun truly comes to a halt when the topic of having kids is brought up. Sean asks Sabrina upfront if she's done having kids, and she honestly answers yes. Sean tells her that he still wants to have kids. Sabrina notices that Sean's body language is off, and she ultimately asks Sean what does he want, and he shares that he wants her. Sean asks for another date with her, and claims that he doesn't want to waste any time. Sabrina seems receptive to his advances. We then get Phil meeting with Aisha, and right off the bat, Aisha is wearing a dress that really accents her curves and physique. This was a possible connection that I didn't foresee because Phil has been under the radar for most of the season. During their conversation, Phil asks Aisha up front if she would still want to have kids. Aisha said that she does not want to have any more kids, but she lists a specific reason for not wanting them. Aisha admits that she almost lost both of her children during her pregnancies, and she fears losing more in the future. And I can definitely understand where she's coming from. Phil consoles her as she cries, and they're seen holding hands during the conversation. I can truly see Phil having a deeper connection with Aisha than he does with Shiloh. We then go to Naeem and Camille having their date. Camille is wearing some blue pants that perfectly hug that plump rump of hers. But unfortunately, her conversational skills aren't really as amazing as her physical beauty. Right off the bat, Camille is acting goofy with Naeem, and we later learn that Camille friendzoned Naeem somewhere before the end of the date. They talk about things such as having kids, what being a stepdad will look like for Naeem, and Naeem's finances. And hearing Naeem talk about his experience during his interview was truly refreshing because he was saying 100% of what I was thinking during their scenes together. Camille is crazy, plain and simple, but her pretty privilege allows her to get away with it. Dante invites Mumin, Sabrina, and Frank out to Swingers. They are playing miniature golf, and it's good to see Sabrina's goofy side. Dante is shown giving Mumin some pointers with her stroke, but Sabrina takes Dante aside for them to have a one-on-one. Dante and Sabrina have their one-on-one, and they talk about their own children for most of the conversation while holding hands. The episode really doesn't spend much time showing what other topics they may have discussed. Frank and Mumin also have their one-on-one. Mumin admits that she had her eye on Frank for a while. They talk about their values and what's most important to them. Frank brings up the topic of Mumin wanting to wait until marriage to have sex, and Frank is also upfront saying that he's hypersexual, while respecting where she is in her journey. The fact that Mumin didn't end things right then and there, to me, means that she's open to negotiating when she's ready to give up the punani. And for the right guy, I'm almost certain that those draws will drop well before she hears wedding bells. Sean and Tasia then have a meetup for a date. They talk about religion and the possibility of having children. Tasia lets Sean know up front that she's open to having kids. I think Sean likes the fact that Tasia is younger and she wants kids, but I think Sean may be more into Sabrina's physical beauty. Courtney and Cornelius then have their meetup for a rum tasting, and right off the bat, Courtney is deep into Cornelius' personal space, and she has her hand near his man-meat for most of their scenes. Their date largely consists of Courtney flirting with Cornelius, and they really don't go deep into finding out who each other are. It's almost embarrassing to see Courtney throw herself at a guy who claims to be saving himself for marriage. So the men meet up with Nephew Tommy to discuss who they liked and disliked from the women. All of the men except for Naeem have positive experiences for the dates they went on this week. But when it comes to the women they aren't feeling, they run down a whole list of women, which includes Courtney, Sabrina, Tasia, and Camille, to name a few. The men ultimately decide on 2 women for elimination. Dante meets up with Camille, and their entire encounter is awkward from start to finish. She's really antsy, pressed for time, and not really talking to Dante because she's not feeling him. Dante, however, suspects that she knows that she's there for a possible elimination. But to my surprise, Dante tells Camille that she's not ready to leave the show yet. Walter then meets up with Courtney, and Walter lets Courtney know why she's on the chopping block. Courtney tries to defend her actions during the Ready to Love process, but Walter calls her out for friend-zoning him and other guys while pursuing Cornelius. Courtney accepts the fact that she's gotta go, and she takes her elimination like a champ. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this episode a 7. It was entertaining, the women were eye candy, and my expectations for who was going home tonight were completely subverted. I think Courtney's elimination may cause an uproar with some of the women who watch the show because they like her, but we have to highlight the differences between the men and the women during the elimination process. The women were more than happy to send Tyrone home when he put all his eggs in one basket with Shiloh and decided not to give them any more attention. And Shiloh admitted that she still had a connection with Tyrone, but the women didn't want to look out for her. However, the woman that should have went home tonight was Camille. But when the guys realized that Cornelius wanted Camille to stay, they looked out for him while choosing to eliminate another woman that friend-zoned most of them. Some may consider it poetic justice, but I consider it just the cost of doing business. But this marks the end of my review. Feel free to comment below to let me know what you thought about my review or the episode in the comment section, and I'll be sure to reply to each and every one of them. But until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.